Bethesda chose the moment I was out of town to drop a bunch of new stuff on the Creation Club. When I got back, I had to produce a bunch of videos about Fallout 76, and now, well, these videos aren't exactly newsworthy. The Creation Club stuff has been out for some time. But I'd figured I'd do my due diligence and cover the latest additions to Fallout 4's Creation Club. We'll cover it all this weekend, but today, let's talk about the X-02 power armor. Restoring order and civility by any means necessary. Often referred to as the Black Devil for its signature design, the X-02 is an advanced power armor model developed by the Enclave for its Special Operations Forces. With multiple skin options and custom Tesla modifications, the X-02 is a powerful tool to help you storm through the wasteland or bedevil it. Quest created by Chris Takahashi. Creation acquired via Quest. The X-02 power armor is going for 700 credits. But is it worth it? Let's find out. Upon arriving in the wasteland, we get the quest, Speak of the Devil. Browse the Watts Electronics store. We likely get this quest by discovering a new radio beacon on our Pip-Boy. Radio AM 810 signal found. However, when inspecting it in our Pip-Boy, the signal sounds like this. Nothing. Dead silence. Who would go to the trouble to turn on a new radio broadcast but broadcast nothing? Using the wonders of Robco technology, we can track it down to Watts Consumer Electronics. I cleared this place in a previous video that you can watch here, so we find it empty. Since I went through the front door, I dropped down to this lower level, so taking the ramp to the basement, we can head up the stairs, wind around the platform, and take the stairs to the top showroom floor. Rounding the corner, we find a brand new display by the bathrooms. The Black Devil. This wasn't here when we came by last. Someone has set this up. And recently by the look of things, and we learn about a new pre-war superhero called the Black Devil, likely part of the Hubris radio universe. On a table beneath the poster, we find a radio and a microphone, both of which are inaccessible, and two items of interest. The first is a holotape, The Black Devil Volume 1. When loading it, if we choose play, we just get a big bright screen, which is an interesting glitch, the first time I've seen this. But putting the Pip-Boy away and bringing it back, we can look up the holotape again in the miscellaneous section of our inventory. On the holotape, we find two items. The first, The Devil Cometh. By day, he's a hard-working janitor cleaning toilets at the local police station. By night, he's a commie-fighting superhero, here to uphold our core values of truth, tax loopholes, and the principles of the free market. Working with the U.S. government, the Black Devil gained his superhuman strength by merging his body with the Constitution. Covered in the impenetrable ink of our founding fathers, he hunts down communists with a gusto known only to the devil himself. So when communists invade your neighborhood, just tune your Watts brand radio to AM 810 or FM 52.7. And make sure to turn the dial all the way up. Only when you play the music of America will the Black Devil recognize you as a true patriot and come to the rescue. So, we have a pre-war superhero whose bat signal, so to speak, was a patriotic radio station. To call for his aid, you just tune into the channel. Next up, we find an option, The Devil's Music. As a true patriot, the Black Devil loves all songs that celebrate America. But of that large and illustrious catalog, three in particular distinguish themselves as his favorites. The Battle Hymn of the Republic is a song that foretells the judgment of the wicked. For when the Red Army hears its melody on the breath of our soldiers, they will crumble in agony and pain, as their ears are too frail to withstand the sheer sonic power of freedom. The Stars and Stripes Forever is the heartbeat of a military march. While the battle hymn prepares one for war, the Stars and Stripes are the echoes of artillery fire, the sheet music of war. Lastly, America the Beautiful. Not much more needs to be said about this timeless ballad, for America's beauty is what we fight for and aspire to protect. That is why these three songs have been chosen as the Black Devil's signature music, As a soldier, warrior, and God-fearing American, when he hears them played on the radio, he will answer the call. I get the impression that this holotape was likely a pre-war collectible. The Black Devil's not a real superhero, but Hubris Comics likely sold this and shipped it to people who wanted to collect Black Devil memorabilia. On a table nearby, we find Connie's note. It seems like we've been fighting off raiders ever since I moved back home. Bastards are like roaches. You kill one, and 10 more crawl out of the cracks. I asked Pa how he dealt with them, and he said he didn't have to. Back in the day, there was this guy. They called him the Black Devil, and he made it his mission to drive all the raiders out of the Commonwealth. Whenever you needed his help, you just tuned your radio to his station, and there he'd be. So naturally, I wanted to know what happened to him. Pa said he didn't know. About a year ago, the radio went static, and it's been Raider heaven ever since. But last week, I was at the old Watts building looking for scrap and came across this display that mentioned the devil by name. There were also a couple of holotapes which I couldn't make heads or tails of, so I asked my cousin Richie for help because he's good with this stuff. He thinks the tapes might have music in them, a way to summon the devil. The blurb on one of the holotapes mentions 2 radio stations, AM 810 and FM 52.7. Richie thinks it might be tied to the old relay towers with the same numbers just northeast of here. Maybe we can use it to send up some music back to the station. Anyways, I'm leaving this note here just in case. I'm probably just being paranoid, but I get the feeling we're being followed. Still, if my hunch is right, and for some reason we don't make it, someone has to finish what we started and bring the devil back to the Commonwealth. So Connie was trying to activate a nearby relay tower, but she never made it. Perhaps we can summon this devil if we activate it ourselves. Near to this is a table with a bunch of robots on top, and next to them is the toy mechanist's remote. Examining it, we learn we can control our very own machine army with the mechanist's remote. Use the antenna to guide robots to their destination, or press the detonator button to watch them explode. This wasn't here before installing the creation, but it also appears to have no function. The authors must have just placed it here as a gag. We can't actually control any of these robots. Now, at one point, either after loading the holotape or reading the note, the AM 810 radio station that we tuned to on our Pip-Boy began to play some music. But only one song, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. The nearest relay tower to our location is Relay Tower 0MC810. This relay tower was in the game before the creation, and there are some side quests at this location. I covered them fully in my video dedicated to the relay tower that you can watch here. But when we arrive, we find Enclave remnants? What the heck are Enclave remnants doing in the Commonwealth? And they appear to be incognito. None of them are wearing Enclave uniforms. Heading inside the relay tower, we find the body of Richie, Connie's cousin. Oh no. He came here to try to load the music into the relay tower, but the Enclave got here first. Why did the Enclave come here? On his body, we find the AM 810 music catalog holotape and Richie's note. Reading Richie's note first, oh man, I should have never helped Connie with that radio. Now he is done for. Oh, must be short for Connor. I assumed it was a girl's name. Anyway, I was in the bushes when they took him. One of them said they were taking him to that old police bureau across the river. It sounds like they wanted to interrogate him. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I can upload the stars and stripes, but Connie still has the tape with the other music in it. He is so clever, though. Maybe he can find a way out. I guess all I can do is just wait here and hope he comes back. But sadly, it looks like waiting here led to his own demise. The Enclave came back and killed him. But why are the Enclave interested in this devil character? Well, looks like we need to track down Connie at the nearby police bureau, but before we do, we can complete Richie's task and load the music he had into the nearby relay tower terminal. But first, of course, we have to extend the satellite dishes. When extended, we find one amplified signal. AM 810 radio station, insert holotape to transfer files. We can choose to load the AM 810 holotape, and once loaded, we have to manually transfer the files. Choosing Stars and Stripes Forever, and we successfully transfer the song to the radio station. If we choose Battle Hymn of the Republic, we see that the file already exists on the server. That's right, we've been listening to it on our Pip-Boy radio, but what we don't understand is how the file got transferred while we were reading Connie's note in Watts Consumer Electronics. Perhaps Richie happened to load it into the terminal just at that moment, but was killed before loading the Stars and Stripes Forever. We can then choose to read the holotape, and sure enough, the Stars and Stripes Forever begins to play on the radio station. We find an instruction manual. This holotape can be used to play, record, and transmit audio as well as transcribe it into text. You can also upload data and broadcast in between terminals, making it ideal for parties or social gatherings. We then find an option to record audio, but it says error disk full. All right, and I don't think there's a microphone attached to this terminal anyway, so no luck there. We'll eject the holotape to take it back with us, and that's all we can do from this terminal. So, we now have to track down Connie and the Enclave thugs who kidnapped him at the nearby police bureau. That would be the BADTFL regional office, a location that Nick took us to during his personal quest about Eddie Winter, which I covered in a video that you can watch here. Heading inside, we find a few raiders to take care of. And in one of the interrogation rooms, we find the body of Connie, and he's wearing a Pip-Boy. Where did he get that Pip-Boy? Ignore the purple color of the Pip-Boy. That's not from the creation. That's just a mod conflict on my machine. So the Enclave tortured Connie to death. And it looks like they didn't get what they were looking for, which is why they went back to the relay tower. Though on the table, we find the holotape FM 52.7 music catalog. Again, trying to play the holotape reveals a bright screen, so we gotta back out and reload it to see what's inside. Warning, network functions locked. We can select this. Some functions are locked. Please enter a password for access. Consult your user guide for further instructions. Oh, that's why the Enclave left the holotape behind. Connie protected it with a password. Now, we do have a few options. We can break the password encryption if we have hacker of 3 or more, or we can generate a password list to try and hack it like a terminal if we have hacker 1 or more. I have both, but pretending for the moment that I don't, let's see if we can find a password that Connie may have hidden somewhere. Beneath the handcuffs, we find a note, Connie's confession. Check the wall. Oh, okay. He must have scribbled this after the Enclave left. Looking at the wall, we find 2 big holes, and sure enough, in one of them, we find some cigarette paper. The password is El Diablo Viene. That's Spanish for the devil comes. All right, well, with the password in hand, we can again load up the FM 52.7 music catalog, and this time punch in the password. The devil comes. With that, our Pip-Boy decrypts the data on the holotape, and we can now load it in the relay tower to transfer its files. On this holotape, we find a record audio option, and it looks like Connie's Pip-Boy transcribed some of his conversations onto this holotape. We'll start with transcription 127. Pulling voice records, matching names to vocal patterns. Subject record, Connie found. Target record, not found. Transcribing, Connie. We were trying to summon the Black Devil. Get him to protect the farm, so... Inaudible. Unknown. The man you're looking for is no hero. He's a thief, and the armor he wears rightfully belongs to the Enclave. You're... talking nonsense, pal. The Devil's a guardian, protects the farm from scum like you. Your opinion is irrelevant. All we want to know is where to find him. Why don't you check the police station? I hear he works there by day cleaning toilets. Maybe you ought to take a real good look inside one. Sergeant Hodges, do me a favor and hand me that hammer. So Connie is spouting off all of the pre-war lore about the Black Devil who was a janitor at a police station by day, but a superhero by night. That's why he sent these Enclave people to this regional office. But the Enclave seem to think that this Black Devil character is real, and that Connie knows where he is, which is why they tortured him with a hammer. In the next one, 128, the Enclave start. You're wasting time. We know you have information on the X-02. Oh, fine. Give me a paper and pencil. I can draw you a map. Inaudible. And a cigarette. I need a smoke. Helps with the creative juices. Would you like something to drink as well? Maybe a massage. Officer Bradley here does excellent work with his fists. What I need, said Connie, is that cigarette. And not just one, a whole pack. He used the cigarette paper to write us the secret note, which he hid in the wall. In the next one, 129, the Enclave again start. What does this mean, check the wall? Didn't you know? That's where the devil is, in the details. Hodges here, mentioned previously, says he's being deliberately evasive. Look, if you can't find him, maybe we should call him out. All you need to do is sing his song. Enough stalling. Tell us where the armor is. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of... Not this again. Oh, purple mountains, majesties above the... For God's sakes, will someone shut this man up? America, America. Careful, torture may make his testimony unreliable. I don't care. I just want to shut his doggone mouth. And disturbingly, whatever Connie said next was so unintelligible that it couldn't be transcribed. In the final one, we hear only from the Enclave remnants. Sir, says Hodges, we've found the armor. It was a hunch, but based on what the prisoner said, we checked the nearby police stations and it turns out there's a utility tunnel under the Boston police rationing site that matches the description. Good work, Sergeant. I'm sure retrieving it won't be a problem? The officers are working on it as we speak, sir. What shall we do with the prisoner? Leave him. If he's lucky, he'll bleed to death before the raiders find him. So I was wrong. The Enclave got exactly what they wanted out of Connie and left for the Boston police rationing site. I'm not sure then why they sent a detachment back to the relay tower. I guess we don't know whether he bled to death or the raiders got him, but considering we found raiders here when we arrived, I'm assuming the latter. But we learned that there was some sort of mix-up. Connie and Richie were talking about some sort of hero, the Black Devil, who protects farms from raiders and villains. And they thought these Enclave members were just typical raiders. But the Enclave was here trying to track down a suit of X-02 power armor. But why did they think that Connie would know where it's at? Could the Black Devil be real? And was he wearing a suit of X-01 power armor? To find out, we need to head to the Boston Police rationing site. But first, we need to head back to Relay Tower 0SC527 to load our most recent holotape. After taking care of some mole rats outside, we can head to the nearby terminal, extend the satellite dishes yet again, not sure why those retracted, and this time, load the FM 52.7 holotape. Once loaded, we can transfer the files America the Beautiful. And with that, we pick up a new radio station, 52.7, which is playing different music than the AM station we've been listening to this whole time. We hear the FM station playing on the nearby radio. Now, to the Boston Police rationing site. We get to the Boston Police rationing site from the Mass Pike Tunnel. I covered this location in detail in my video on the topic that you can watch here. But to get to the rationing site through the tunnels, we have to fight through a bunch of ghouls. It's quicker to travel directly to the rationing site, but if we do, we find all of the doors outside chained. To gain access, we need to hop onto the roof, but this is more difficult without a suit of power armor, but still possible. To do so without a jetpack, we can hop onto some shipping crates nearby, which brings us to a train car on the tracks nearby. From here, we can leap onto a yellow crate, then onto the rooftop, then follow some scrap around the edge, onto a blue crate, then leap to a green crate, then again onto the rooftop, and then through a hole in the wall inside the rationing site. Once inside, we can loot some boxes and kill some mole rats.
Let's do this!
Unbar the door to let our companions in, and then head down some stairs into the utility tunnels. Inside the tunnels, we can get rid of some rad roaches. And open a northern door to enter a long tunnel lined with flammable fuel.
Damn, we're taking rads here.
At the end of this corridor is a locked door and then a door to the left. Here we find the corpses and items relevant to the story that took place here before installing the creation, but new to this location is a radio on a table to the west. Activating it completes the quest, Speak of the Devil, and opens a nearby security door. And standing before us is a beautiful full suit of X-02 power armor. Nearby, we find an Enclave iBot and a bunch of scrap and other material. To the right, we see a terminal connected to the radio outside the cage via a red wire, but there's nothing inside. Looks like the nearby radios have been programmed to be the sole point of access for this terminal. Behind the suit of power armor is the Devil's terminal. Inside, we find 3 notes. In the first, leaving the Enclave, I was once a military officer, a patriot who wore the uniform with pride. I finished with honors at the academy, rose quickly through the ranks, and joined an elite troop of soldiers known as the Devil's Hand. As a special forces unit, we were given access to new prototypes, the crown jewel of which was the X-02 power armor. With it, we cleansed the wasteland of mutants, ferals, and the unpure. We found old technology and discovered uncharted lands. We did it all with ruthless efficiency. For that, I was decorated, distinguished, and yet I felt more disillusioned than anything. We mocked the outsiders for being unclean, but after each mission, I was the one who always felt dirty. Everything was done to maximize Enclave resources and strategic positions with no consideration for those who paid the cost of our labors. Some were children, others barely born. But if you asked me why I defected, it wasn't one thing. There was no crying child, no singular event that made me turn. My belief in what we were doing simply eroded over time, like a callus slowly peeling off the skin. I used to believe the Enclave was here to protect the ideals this country was founded on. Now I realize that couldn't be further from the truth. And so eventually, I left the Enclave for good. So that's why the Enclave are here. They were trying to track down a defector. But why then this whole mix-up with a pre-war hubris comic superhero, the Black Devil? We find out in the next entry, Becoming the Devil. At first, I wasn't sure if they'd come after me. The suit was valuable property, one of only a handful of modern X-02 prototypes, but the Colonels were facing issues on a number of fronts. As it turns out, President Eden's death provided an ample distraction for my defection. Maybe there'd come a time when the rent would be due, but for now, I was left to roam the Commonwealth by myself. One day while scavenging, I came across an old holotape for a locally syndicated radio program. The show was terrible, and was rightfully canceled after a few episodes. The devil was a caricature with horns and a pitchfork and multiple catchphrases, but the name of the character drew me in. He was a devil, just like me, but somehow he didn't let that define him. They turned him into a real patriot. Before I knew it, I started emulating some of his backstory. I found a bunker under an old police rationing site with plenty of resources. I started listening to distress signals on the radio and helping out settlers. In the radio program, the Black Devil could hear the songs of America from thousands of miles away. I can't do that, but what I can do is set up a radio signal to transmit the old Enclave songs I have on holotape and hijack a few iBots to monitor settlements remotely. Some of the settlers have picked up on the cues and started playing the music when they need help. I've limited the station to broadcast only a handful of songs at the moment. I have 8 in total, but I'd rather not play them all. Some of them open up old wounds. How clever is that? This guy managed to redeem the old pre-war patriotic songs that the Enclave and President Eden sullied during the events of Fallout 3 while playing them on Enclave radio. He took the story and lore of this old hubris comic superhero, which was so unpopular at the time that it only existed for a few episodes during a radio play, and managed to spin it into his own post-Enclave persona. What a great touch. And in the final one, a humble request. I need to shut off the radio, for my own sake. Back when I was with the Devil's Hand, we used to play them while in the throes of battle. When I became the Black Devil, the music put my mind where it needed to be. But now, too many of the wrong memories get triggered by the melody. Besides, with my health being what it is, I can't be the devil anymore. So I've decided to leave the suit here in hopes someone will take up the mantle in my stead. To whomever is reading this now, I only ask one favor. To get through the door, you turn the radio back on. All I'm asking is for you to shut it back off, but this time for good. The console has a kill switch that'll short-circuit the radio signal. Triggering that should also disable the electric lock on the safe, just in case you need a reward to make it worth your while. I'm asking you this favor because I might still be out there, living as a common civilian, and if I should pass by a radio, I'd rather not hear that music ever again. After reading this entry, we back out and find 2 new ones. If we choose to restore Enclave Radio, radio station FM 52.7 becomes Enclave Radio, and radio signal AM 810 becomes static and eventually disappears. Backing out of the terminal, we can turn Enclave Radio on our Pip-Boy, and we can hear all of the patriotic songs we remember from Enclave Radio during the events of Fallout 3.
Yes, sir!
And then we get attacked by the Enclave. But if we choose this option, we find the wall safe next to the terminal locked. We can't pick it. There's no other way to open it. If instead we choose to short-circuit the radio transmission, we permanently lose radio FM 52.7. We lose radio AM 810, and we don't get Enclave Radio. But like last time, we get attacked by Enclave remnants. On the body of Hodges, remember this was the person who was tormenting Connie at the police station, we find Hodges' journal. Try as we might, we can't seem to bypass the security lock. The radio seems to be the key, but it broadcasts only static. Tuning it to existing frequencies has no effect. As a result of our failure, the lieutenant sent a few officers back to the tower to recanvass the area, leaving the rest of us to absorb his rage. Oh, so that's why we found Enclave officers at the relay tower. He's been extremely temperamental as of late. It's possible he's already infected. To be fair, maintaining any semblance of purity is difficult in this filth. If the lieutenant is any indication, the cost of trudging back and forth through this toxic bile of a wasteland may be beyond repair. Just breathing this air, I can already feel the taint itching towards my brain. Nevertheless, leaving the safety of the base is justified. Having the X-02 in our possession will help us maintain our supply count as we attempt to re-establish contact with the Enclave. In any event, if we fail to uncover any relevant information, it'll be my recommendation to drill our way in. The concrete may prove more forgiving than this lock. So the man in the X-02 power armor is a former Enclave officer. After the death of President Eden during the events of Fallout 3, he deserted during the chaos. It appears this Enclave contingent was away from the capital wasteland when everything went down. They've been trying to re-establish communications with HQ, unsuccessfully of course, and in the meantime they figured they would track down this deserter to find his suit of power armor. It must have been the patriotic music playing over the radio that first alerted them to his presence here in the Commonwealth and lured them here. But presumably the man formerly known as the Black Devil is still alive. Aged, perhaps, but possibly still roaming the Commonwealth. Where could he be? Maybe he showed up one day to a Minuteman settlement. If we choose to short-circuit the radio transmissions, we can open an otherwise inaccessible wall safe. Inside, we find a tidy stash of ammunition, but most importantly, we find the X-02 Devil's Inferno mod. This is a mod for the chest piece of the X-02 power armor. Near to the power armor, we find a handwritten note. The X-02 power armor is a real piece of work, designed to fit with most standard mods. It looks a tad bulky due to the additional plating, but the composites are ultra light, so mobility has never been an issue. I've also added a few unique touches, like modifying the Tesla coils used on the T-60 to work with the suit. The difference is the framework on the X-02 let me build around the plating, without having to strip the base mod. So you can fry the bad guys and still have room for a medic pump, some servos, hell, even a cup holder for your beer. Nearly singed all my hair off installing the electrodes on the pauldrons, but it works. The raiders will be lucky to lose just their hair. With that, we've discovered everything here, so we can hop inside our brand new suit of X-02 power armor and take it back to the shop to tinker with it. When we get it, each piece of the X-02 is only upgraded to Mark IV. So we do have to spend resources upgrading it all the way to Mark VI. If we do, we discover that this suit of armor is exceptional. The torso has 420 ballistic and 310 energy resist. The helmet has 320 ballistic and 240 energy resist. The arms each have 270 ballistic and 235 energy resist, and the legs have 370 ballistic and 210 energy resist. To compare, these are the exact same stats as a fully upgraded suit of X-01 armor, except that the arms each have 25 more energy resistance. It has many of the same mods that we're used to, a medic pump, a jetpack, etc. And it comes with a whole bunch of paint jobs. All 3 camouflage paint schemes, aquatic, desert, and swamp, and all of the rainbow color schemes that we could have purchased separately from the Rainbow Power Armor Paint Scheme collection. The Devil's Inferno torso mod that we looted from the safe can be added in a separate upgrade slot. Here we have to choose between the Tesla coils and the Devil's Inferno. The Devil's Inferno is basically an upgraded version of the Tesla coils. The Tesla coils simply does energy damage to nearby enemies, but the Devil's Inferno gives us +2 to damage resist, +2 to energy resist, also deals energy to nearby enemies, but in addition increases our movement speed by 5%, and taking damage recharges our action points. What an amazing mod! and we otherwise don't get access to this. We don't see it in the build menu unless we looted it from the safe after choosing to disable Enclave radio. Now that I've got this suit of armor fully upgraded with all of my Tesla attachments, we can take it for a spin. This is a beautiful suit of power armor. The base color is that gunmetal gray, and then if you choose the Tesla option for each piece of armor and you don't paint over it, the suit has a beautiful bronzed look, which is my favorite of all of them. The detail on this thing is exquisite. We see pipes and cords snaking all over the place. It looks powerful and sturdy and worn by time. I have to admit, when I first saw photographs of the X-02 before downloading it, I thought it looked a little goofy. I mean, devil horns, they looked more like rabbit ears to me. But in-game, when actually wearing the suit, for some reason it seems to work. The devil horns lay far back on the helmet so that they're not terribly pronounced, which I liked. Made it seem less goofy to me. Otherwise, the build quality on this suit of armor is exquisite. I didn't see any major issues or glaring flaws. Remember when I reviewed the Hellfire power armor, we saw the power armor frame clipping with the armor plates on the inner thighs a little bit, but not so with the X-02. It's a really well-made suit of armor. Additionally, we get 2 new settlement build items. The first is a new radio tuned to Enclave radio, but only if we kept Enclave radio active. We find this in the Decorations Miscellaneous category. And the second is a new wall poster of the Black Devil radio play, which is a great little piece. We find this in the Decorations Wall Decorations Posters category. So, is it worth it? Well, overall, I think Creation Club items are way overpriced. I don't think one suit of power armor is worth $7. That said, I think this suit of power armor is more valuable than other similarly priced things on the Creation Club. So when compared to other Creation Club items, yeah, I'd say it's worth the price. The quest is great. They did a great job putting this quest together. It was fun, it was engaging, it was more or less lore-friendly, and I'm really grateful that they didn't revisit some of the same locations that they visited in many of the past creations. It made great use of the relay towers. It was creative that way. The lore implications of this creation are staggering. Sure, we met Enclave remnants on the West Coast during the events of Fallout New Vegas, but if canonical, this would be the first time we've met Enclave remnants on the East Coast. And they're remnants of 2 very different things. The remnants on the West Coast were remnants of the destruction of the Enclave after the destruction of their oil rig. These remnants on the West Coast are remnants of the Enclave chapter within the Capital Wasteland, President Eden's Enclave. If canonical, then this means there's an Enclave base somewhere out there. If not a base representing all of the remnants of the Enclave after the destruction of President Eden, then at least a base of operations for one Enclave cadre that managed to survive destruction and make their way all the way to the Capital Wasteland. Where is this base? How many Enclave officers are there? Exactly how big is their presence? If they're moving incognito, which is why they didn't wear any uniforms when we attacked them, have we seen them before? Are they integrated into societies? Are there Enclave spies in our settlements? I'm a little disappointed we didn't find any Enclave officer uniforms to loot and wear for our character, but it does make sense why we didn't find a uniform. The man who used to be the Black Devil regretted being an Enclave officer. He was trying to atone for the sins he committed while working for the Enclave, so it wouldn't make sense for him to have saved his Enclave officer's uniform. It makes much more sense that he burned it long ago. And it also makes sense for the Enclave remnants to not be wearing their uniforms in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth, which is currently overrun with the Brotherhood of Steel. The Brotherhood who would shoot on sight anyone wearing an Enclave officer uniform. So I understand why they didn't include that. The quest was constructed really well. If I can put on my finicky hat, there are only a few quibbles I found with the quest. At the very beginning, Connie's paw said, "Back in my day, the Black Devil patrolled the wasteland," giving us the impression that when he was a young man in his 20s or 30s, the Enclave officer pretending to be the Black Devil was active. I don't really know if those dates line up. President Eden was only destroyed 10 years ago, so the longest he could have been active as the Black Devil superhero in the Commonwealth is around 10 years, likely less than that. So Connie's paw would never have said, "Back in my day, we had the Black Devil." Overall, I am very impressed with this creation. The power armor looks great. It's not overpowered, but it's better than the X-01 enough to still be compelling. The biggest omission I see is that there's no Enclave paint scheme for the Enclave X-02 power armor. Yeah, I realize within the lore of this quest, the previous Black Devil would have never painted his power armor in Enclave insignia, but now that the sole survivor has the suit, he or she can paint it any way he wishes, and presumably if he or she sympathized with the Enclave, they would paint their suit of armor in Enclave insignia, but you can't. That's frustrating. But it's a small omission given the high quality of this very welcome creation. Those are my thoughts on the X-02 power armor. But what are your thoughts of this Creation Club creation for Fallout 4? Did it meet or exceed your expectations, or were you ultimately underwhelmed? Let me know in the comments section below. There were more releases to the Creation Club, lots of armor and weapons skins. I'll be covering them in tomorrow's episode. I publish many episodes every week here on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can also find my designs on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. I'm becoming more active on Twitter. I was on Twitter the entire time I was away on my business trip, and I continue to be active on it now. I use Twitter to respond to viewers and to make announcements about my channel. So if you're active on Twitter, I encourage you to follow me at Oxhorn. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.